Yeah. Okay, it's 6 o'clock in seasonally appropriate Fountain Hills. We'll call this meeting to order. First thing is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is the approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion for approval?
I move we approve the agenda.
And a second?
A second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, agenda is approved. Next, on to informational reports, starting with a summary of current events. Dr. J, if your voice holds out.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dr. Rakowski, members, board, and guests. I am not feeling well tonight, but I'm going to push through. So a couple things. One, I just want to share out, we had 23 early graduates this year, which we're really proud of. I think it speaks volumes to the offerings that we have as a high school and the option to let students finish early, start saving for college or work, or go to college early and get on with their next chapter of their life. So congrats to Ms. Pinto and her staff for making sure that that graduation rate stays high, and I've been very proud of that. You think about where it was 4 years ago to today, it's just unbelievable. So congrats to the high school on that. On the athletic front, our boys won big last night. They've advanced to the quarterfinals of the state tournament. I did predict them to win the state title this year early in the season, and I hope I'm right. They will play one more home game, and then if they win that, they'll be at the arena for the last two rounds. The girls are playing, I believe, tonight. They're playing tonight, and they are, again, I think the favorite to win the state title. That has never happened in school history where the boys and girls both win the state title in the same year, and I think they have a really good shot at doing that this year. So both coaches are alumni, and were here when I was principal. Well, one was here when I was principal, the other was working for me when I was principal, but I'm proud of both of them for the work they've done, being a part of our alumni that have come back to work for us. We have 3 wrestlers that qualified for state up at Payson this past weekend. I was there, and we had 3 boys and 1 girl who qualified. Tyler Trapani, George Tobias, and Reese Beers all qualified for the boys. And Ava Bourne, who's state runner-up last year, has won her section and will be competing in the state tournament this coming weekend. And I do plan to be there to see our students hopefully bring home championships. I also want to share that Dr. Wheeldryer was awarded recently from the organization Save Our Schools, the 2026 Administrator of the Year, a champion of public education. So we're really proud of her for the hard work she's done at the middle school. So with that, I conclude my comments. Yeah.
Congratulations. All right, next up is Stugo. Do we have someone from Stugo here to talk to us? Yes?
Ms.
No?
Pinto?
No? Okay, then we won't hear from Stugo. Next up is the senior presentation. Paula Graber.
Good evening. Is this working?
I don't think so. Press the button on the
Bottom.
Good evening. As Dr. J said, we had 23 students graduate early. All 23 of them also presented their senior internship presentation. It was either on an internship, their EVIT internship, a job that they had, or a research project. Of the 23, 21 of the students are moving on to either a trade school, community college, or a four-year university. The other 2 are moving into more responsibilities at their current jobs. So everyone's on their path, and we're really excited about that. We had, like I said, 23. I chose 2 students to present. Unfortunately, one of them has a prior commitment with a dance team this evening and is traveling, I think, tomorrow, and she couldn't miss the practice. So I have only my other one, which is Paula Graber. She did an amazing job, blew me away, and I'm going to let her go ahead and do her presentation.
Do you guys want me to speak into this?
Yes, please.
Please.
If you want to, that's fine. So, hi, my name is Paula Graber. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a presentation or overview of my internship at Temple of Groom, which is also my current workplace. All those little pictures are dogs that I do currently do or have done in the past. And this is the salon itself. It is in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then right there is Courtney Draper. She's the owner. And then one of our top groomers, Amanda. And then me, the head bather, and one of my other fellow colleagues. And my overview of the internship is essentially to bathe dogs, blow dry them, de-shed, de-mat, condition based off different coat types and different dogs, to brush and prep for the groomers, and then to clean and monitor the areas and then the dog's behavior on top of it. And me as the head bather, all my priorities and things like that I have to do is create the employee schedule. So I go into the computers and I see what their day is, and then I go into the back and write that all down for the bathers and make sure everybody's on the same page essentially, so there's no confusion throughout the day. And then I also train and do time management, so all the new employees that do come through, I do all their training, and I show them everything that we do and how we do it essentially, on top of trying to keep all those dogs in and out at a certain time. And then I check and make sure all the other dogs are complete from all the other bathers, and I mainly do their skin treatments and the behavioral dogs because a lot of the new people are kind of afraid of it, and I'm not really afraid to step up and kind of take control of the situation. And then the bathing process is very different based off the dog, honestly, the behavior of it, the coat type, the skin condition, and some of the groomers don't really like certain products, or even some owners prefer certain smells, certain products on their dogs, so you really just have to make sure with both of them. And then that's our main shampoo and our conditioner. It's mainly just to hydrate the skin and overall just make sure it looks nice and shiny and clean, and it really does have a lot of vitamins in it to help the dog on top of the conditioner. And that's one of our main treatment products, which we really use on like our dandruffy dogs or itchy dogs. Yeah, that's really it about that. And then the behind the scenes is like really just dog behavior, which I think a lot of people don't really realize that really plays a vital role in dog grooming, is the behavior of a dog. So a responsible dog owner brings their dog like to the groomers at 4 months, like the latest, and then bring them pretty regularly, like at the 6 to 8 week mark, because it affects the dog, and honestly does, in their behavior and the way that they act in the salon. And then our worst type of dogs are scared dogs, because you just don't know what they're going to turn around and nip at you for or bite you for, and it's just you're always on your toes with a scared dog more than an aggressive dog, because you can pinpoint exactly what they don't like and you kind of get that over with either first, or honestly just it's easier to manage the dog, yeah, you know. And those are also all dogs that I've done, which you would expect like the King Corsos to be really like aggressive, or the Pit. They're my best dogs. They love the grooming process because they've come since such an early age. And so it's just very important, and even the importance of grooming, because that's a dog that I've done from start to finish. And as you see in the first picture, she looks very matted, very tangled up. And in the second one, that is the mat coming off of her in one, like as one. And that really hurts a dog. It really does. It pulls at their skin. It tugs at them. And it's also just important how you go to the salon, you get your hair done, you get your nails done. It's important to maintain that too with your dog. A lot of people don't realize that, and it really does play a vital role. Just like Shih Tzus, Poodles, Wheatons, all those dogs need to come regularly to the salon because their hair is more like tangly, and it just is. And these are all dogs that I've done to either in the salon or at my other salon. They're all really sweethearts, and they're all really good for it. And these are my plans as in the future. I've always been pretty like passionate with my school. I've always been on top of myself, either with that being my grades or just showing up to school in general and just being present. and like making sure I'm there. And really, I discipline myself a lot with that. And so I brought that into my present and what I'm doing now at work. I really never miss a day. I always try to be there, try to show up, and be there for the dogs and my fellow like colleagues, because that's very important to me to have their backs as well, because I'd want somebody to have mine. And then for the future, I plan to either attend NAU or the University of Honolulu and just continue to go deeper with animals. And I'm just considering between those two places, and I just want to continue to work in like environments that really keep me knowledgeable with animals' needs and the behavior, just like a veterinary office. I want to work in there to get my foot really in the door. And I'm really passionate with what I do, and I'm working to my fullest ability to prepare myself for the competitive field that veterinarian is, because it really is a competitive field. And there's also things that go along with it, like that dog, I've known it since it was a puppy, and it passed away, and that I feel like that really plays a role with grooming and veterinarians. People don't realize you really grow a connection with these dogs, and when they pass, it really does hit home. It's like your own dog that you're losing. So it's really preparing me for the future, honestly, and just what I'm going to do with myself and in the fields that I want to be in. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys and your time and listening to me.
Comments, questions?
So
Thank
I
you,
do have
Paula.
one comment.
Sure.
I can't let this pass by without commenting. So I volunteer at the Maricopa County Animal Care and Control at the East Shelter. So I want to thank you for working with dogs. And I just want to make a recommendation. Once you're 18 or older, you can volunteer at MCACC. And as a volunteer, you can either be a dog walker like me, or you can also volunteer and help the clinic and do tech work. So if you want to dabble in that a little bit, I'll just. Yeah, so, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just ask you a question? How many presentations have you seen so far this year?
23.
Okay. So how many have left?
70.
Okay.
No, more than that, 80. We have 112 seniors, so.
Last
Great.
year, I think we did towards the end of the year, we were invited maybe to join a couple.
Absolutely.
And can we find out?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. Yep.
That'd be great.
Yep. Let us know the dates.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is the Blue Zone presentation.
I get you all set up. We have somebody joining us via Google Meet.
While we're waiting, I just want to point out your speaker is also alumni. First principal, and it's always great to see our alumni back and being part of the community. Welcome back. Glad to be here.
Now, in a perfect world, this is going to work exactly like it's supposed to from the get-go. Doesn't look like she's on there yet, though.
I sent her an email, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Oh, there she
There
is.
she is.
Hello, Margaret. Can you hear us?
I can. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
See, it's not working on the audio, but
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
yeah, it's just not projecting over the into the boardroom. So
Got it.
we'll do our best to get it loud enough. Let's see how we do. See if we can
Sounds
see
good.
if we can hear her or not.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, President, board members, Superintendent Dr. J. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to speak with you. My name is Kyle Tolis. I am as Dr. J mentioned, graduate of the FHUSD. I'm a recent graduate of the Class 9 Leadership Academy, as well as a member on the Health Industry Stakeholders Group with the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce, and also a proud member of the Four Peaks Rotary Club. And today, I am also working in the health and wellness space as the general manager of Snap Fitness here in town, as well as personal training. I am here tonight to share an idea to you that I believe aligns beautifully with the district's mission to support the long-term success and well-being of not only our students, staff, but also their families. Bringing Blue Zones to Fountain Hills Unified School District as a potential district-wide project. At its core, Blue Zones focuses on small, realistic changes in environment and culture to make the healthy choices the easy choices in our everyday lives, in school, work, and at home. This isn't about adding pressure to an already full schedule. It's about creating systems that support healthier habits naturally, whether it's general movement, better nutritional options, or stronger social connections that reduce stress in our everyday lives. As someone that grew up here in the district and now works daily with people trying to improve their health, I've seen that an early exposure to healthy environments can shape lifelong habits. And I believe the FHUSD has an amazing opportunity to lead the way in building a healthier, more connected school community that benefits not only on its students, but also its health of its families and staff members as well. With that, I'm going to introduce to you Margaret, she is our liaison with the Blue Zones group. Margaret is a seasoned community well-being advocate with over 20 years of experience leading in local health improvement incentives. Before joining Blue Zone, she spent over a decade working directly with the community coalitions, federally qualified health centers, public health departments, and health systems to develop and improvement strategies to improve population health from the ground up. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Margaret.
Thank you so much, Kyle. And let me ask, if I were to share a PowerPoint, will that be able to show on the screen?
Yes, it will.
Okay, great. I'm just going to share a few slides. Kyle did a wonderful introduction. I will just say over the last probably year, I've been working very closely with the Fountain Hills Rotary and Julia Ewald on really working to bring Blue Zones into Fountain Hills. For those of you that may be familiar, you may have heard of the Blue Zones Scottsdale project. So we are trying to bring elements of that over to Fountain Hills. But I just want to share a quick glimpse of what we are and how we work, because if you're not familiar, this may really be helpful. So based in the research of Dan Buettner Sr. in National Geographic, they went into 20 years of research and exploration looking for the longest lived populations. And it wasn't by accident that they were looking for those longest lived populations. They were starting with an interesting question. It had been established by the Danish twin studies that environment actually has more to do with how long and how healthy you are than our genetics or our access to care. It's really those environmental issues and how those environments shape our lifestyle and our behaviors that really contribute the most to our health and well-being. So with that in mind, Dan and team went out looking for, if that's true, where is it having that exact impact? And what they discovered are 5 places in the world where people live exceptionally long lives, well into their late 90s, 100s, with a fraction of the disease that we experience here in the United States. So with that in mind, they subsequently established what we call Blue Zone, the Blue Zones Project, which is a process by which we partner with communities to bring those best practices today. So our purpose is to empower everyone, and our promise is more good years. And I'll just share quickly how we do that. So when the demographers and researchers went into those 5 communities, what they found were these 5 common characteristics that are core to all of the Blue Zones. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. And these are those commonalities on your screen that we call those the Power 9. And they're pretty straightforward, not rocket science. They're the bedrock of every well-meaning public health program. They're what many health systems aim to do when they're working in community health and population health. But it's still sometimes in our overall community design, there can be gaps of how these elements show up for populations, and especially when we look at how they show up for all the people in the communities that we serve. So we think about things like move naturally, having the right outlook, which is made up of having purpose-driven lives and making time to downshift. Of course, eat wisely. For the blue zones, there's a number of elements there, but primarily focused on how do we bring healthier foods to everyone, wherever they may be. And then finally, connection, bringing this idea and concept of connecting back to our communities, to our loved ones, and to close friend groups. In the modern day blue zones that we work with here in the United States and these partnerships, what we're really focused on is how do we harness those Power 9 and put them to work for us in our communities every day. So in the places sector here that is on our screen, we're talking about schools and work sites and grocery stores and faith-based organizations and nonprofit groups. Policy, often working with city leadership, our county leadership and other partners to shape built environments, food access, and alcohol and tobacco policy. And then finally, on the people sector, really driving in on programs, connections, and partnerships that can help people come together, break down isolation and loneliness, foster intergenerational connection, as well as establishing new friend groups that can help us along the health journey. So when we bring this model forward, oftentimes, you know, we can do this as all at once, people, places, and policy all at one time. Other times, we're working independently with work sites or independently with school districts. We actually have a number of school districts who have taken on the challenge to become a Blue Zone certified school district. That is something new that we've been doing over the last few years. But also we have done strictly policy work or strictly engagement focused work. So there's many different ways to build and piece together a Blue Zones expression for your community. But just to share quickly, we do have and have worked with well over 90 communities in that kind of comprehensive mode across 17 states, covering a little over 6.5 million lives. We continue to expand that footprint and grow that footprint every day. Scottsdale is an excellent example for anyone that may be aware of what the school districts over there are working towards. And I will just end on this slide to just, you know, demonstrate that when we're doing this work in communities, it's more than just about the health outcomes. While our gold standard is, can we improve the overall number of years, the overall number of healthy years that people have? And to Kyle's point, starting with kids at a young age is an excellent way to get them going for a future of health and well-being. But what we're really noticing in the work that we do and some of the outcomes, of course, those healthy people, but we also have trickle-down effects of things like healthy environments. It turns out when you build walkable environments, bikeable environments, more green space, put an emphasis on natural mobility, that it actually has a positive impact on the environment, and also when you're sustainably growing food. But then also communities that are geared towards and building for health and well-being actually experience a very healthy economy, a healthy bottom line, because it turns out people who want health and well-being seek out communities that offer that. Companies that want to establish themselves look for healthy populations to go to work in their core industries. And so this has turned out to be a really positive, a net positive across these three areas, and also represents the types of partnerships that we've been successful in bringing to this work. So I'm going to stop there, and I just want to open it up for any questions that the board may have.
Question? Anybody?
No, just a comment. This is something I looked into a while ago. We watched, there's, I think it's Netflix series that shows you all of them. Although
correct,
one of them
yes.
is no longer part of it, in Japan, I believe.
Yes.
And the reason they lost this is because they got a lot of fast food restaurants from here.
Yes.
And they no longer in it. And one of my sons went to Sardinia for his honeymoon, just to see what this was all about. So I'm really
That's
interested in this. It's very good.
Bernie?
In the packet of material that Kyle has shared to be given to all of you. In the back of that are some case examples of how we've worked with schools and a little bit more information than I had time to share tonight. So I hope between that and maybe checking out the Netflix, that would just a little opportunity to learn more. Any other questions?
I guess the question is, where do we go from here? What's next?
Yeah, so, there's a couple of avenues. For sure, there's an opportunity if the school is interested in this and would like to maybe look at getting started as just a school district. I would be happy to partner with a representative from the school and with the Rotary, the Four Peaks Rotary, to look at that process. I think another thing would be connecting back with Julie and Kyle and really understanding where they are and how they would like to move forward as it relates to the broader community. But I think joining in this effort and staying in contact with both Julie and Kyle as they continue down this road.
I'll just add that I met with Julie. I'm also for Peaks Rotarian. I don't want to get fined at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, now I am in trouble. But I met with the group, and I just felt it was a decision that you all should make. That's why I brought it to you. It's something that if the board is interested in, then we'll take it from there and bring you a plan of next steps. But I just wanted to see, before we got too far along in this, if there was interest from you.
If you look in the back, we already started one of the things, because we have a garden going at the elementary school.
Yeah. I guess my concern would be, I feel like this is, something that actually should be voted on by the board, whether we bring this type of thing into the school district, versus just a general like, oh, hey, it looks good. I can tell you, as a parent, I have concerns about school districts, doctors' offices, and that type of thing, asking too many questions and starting to invade a parent's zone with their children. So I am a strong believer in parental rights. I think it's okay for the community, if the community wants to take it on and promote a healthier environment and implement those things in the community that we live in. But I do have concerns using our school district when we have so many other things to focus on, like academic proficiency in our core subjects, layering another piece. I know there's initiatives to make school lunches more healthy. I'm all for that. I love the fact that we have a school garden. I love the fact that we have PE and we have sports and all of these things that make our kids healthier when they participate in them. But I do worry that bringing in things like this make it so that it's similar to when you all of a sudden, now you go to your doctor's office and they're asking you questions that literally have nothing to do with your child's health. I'm not okay with that piece.
So we would bring it back for a vote. That was the intent, is to
Okay.
present tonight, see if you want to put it, Dr. Murkowski, on the upcoming agenda for a vote. And if not, then that's the board's choice. So that's why
Okay.
I did it that way.
Okay,
That's-
perfect.
that's it.
I think our biggest thing with this would really work with Sodexo, because that's really the main thing, the part for the schools. I know in Scottsdale, I was in one or two events where they had the blue zone and their food was like that. So that's where things change. So unless we can have the food be the right kind, the right way for us, then I think we're in trouble. We already have the kids moving and doing all those things, so that part I'm not worried about.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, Margaret. Thanks, Kyle.
Excellent. I would say in closing, of course, every decision has to be weighed, and I appreciate the due diligence that's required to make these kinds of decisions. We would offer up the opportunity for you to talk to other schools who have gone through this process to get clear on some of those concerns, and, before taking the next step. So in any way that I can be of help, please let me know.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great night.
Too. Okay, next up is reports, starting with the student activity and auxiliary accounts on pages 6 through 16 of our packet. And any questions or comments about that? There's nothing highlighted in the ending balance on that one, so it should be straightforward. Okay. Next, the unaudited financial report on page 17. And that, those highlighted things, I think are, in the past we've talked about this, is that we have encumbrances, but the money hasn't come in yet, but it will, right, Mr. Hartman?
Yeah, with things like food service, like you talked about earlier in the year, as well as some of the grants.
Yeah, impact aid.
Fluctuating. We did get another impact aid payment today. I didn't have a chance to look at how much, but we're anticipating 816 or 836,000 this year, one or the other. So, yeah, there'll be some fluctuation there.
Okay. That's more than anticipated, weren't we talking 750?
Yeah.
Before? That's good.
We get a number from the federal government early, and we kind of have that number for next year now. We budget
Yeah.
based on that. So it was a little bit more, which will go into, carry forward into next year.
Okay, good. Other comments, questions? No? Okay, thank you. All right, next up is public comments. Do we have any? No. Moving right along to the action items then, starting with the personnel action report on page 18. Any questions about that? Comments?
I guess we're making it official.
Right.
Yeah, I did see.
Do we want to make an amendment to not accept that one under
Right.
resignation?
I second that.
Got a second? Okay, we got a motion. No. I didn't say I move.
Well, it means a lot to me. I appreciate that.
Okay. So is there a motion to accept the personnel action report?
I move to accept the personnel action report.
And a second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved. Next is the Policy Advisory 960. These policies, one of our favorite topics, as we discussed last week. It's basically the wording changes to keep consistent with the law. So I think it's fine. I will make the motion that we approve the Policy Advisory 960. Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Next is the high school credit guide. Dr. J, do you want to explain this to us? Okay.
Dr. Rukowski, members of the board and guests, thank you for again, being here tonight. I'm going to be presenting on I want to clean up before I retire here at the end of the year for the high school students and for the principal over there, Ms. Pinto. Just some clarification on how credits can be counted towards graduation. And so with turnover over the last decade at the school, I think some things have gotten lost. And as a result of that, I want to clean this up. All this has already been board approved, so I just want to start with that. And I gave you exhibits to show where that is already in our policies or in documents that we've been using for a long, long time. But I wanted to be able to hand this out to students when we do registration so that they fully understand kind of how they can use their credits. Because we have a lot of dual enrollment between EVIT and Arizona State, and it can be confusing. And so what happens sometimes with students is they may be told one thing by a counselor they had as a freshman or sophomore. That counselor maybe isn't here their senior year, and now all of a sudden they're told, well, you're missing a credit somewhere, and it's just confusing. So this, I believe, will clean this up, and it's just reiterating to the staff today that the board has approved this, and I'm just going to walk you through it. So we have a PE half credit requirement for graduation in Fountain Hills. And the easiest way to obviously get that is to take PE. And we put all of our freshmen typically in there, but sometimes we have high achieving students that want to take AP classes, or they're in band and they can't fit PE into their schedule, so they decide to take it later. And then asking a junior or senior to take freshman PE is not always, I think, best practice. So there's a variety of options that the boards in the past have approved. And one of them is 2 full seasons of a varsity athletic team. And I gave you documentation in the handbook from 2018-19 to show you that has existed for a long time. And they have to complete the season. They have to be in good standing. Coaches have to sign off on that. But that is another way to earn that 0.5 credit. I believe that any PE class really should suffice for this, based on the fact of what's in the best interest of the student. So for example, a student takes weight training their junior year, maybe as part of their athletic program, and they don't want to be in freshman PE. I think the weight training would suffice for a PE credit, and we've done this in the past. Weight training, lifetime sports, girls athletics, co-ed basketball, and co-ed volleyball are all advanced PE classes, so typically you have to take in PE to get into those. But there are those random kids that can't fit into our schedule, being a small school, that may take one of those later on. And just like in art, we don't say you have to have drawing, painting, or ceramics. We just say one credit of art. So I think that cleans up PE. You guys approved, maybe not this exact board, but our governing board within the last 2 years approved marching band to be used as a PE credit. I know there's a typo in there, and I figured Dr. Kowski would have called me on it by now, but I will fix that. The can be used, the width's got to go for PE or fine arts. So
Extra preposition.
yeah, sorry about that. I caught it, but it was in PDF form, and I couldn't change it real quick. So, but we'll clean it up before we send it back to you. And then for fine arts, you can see that we have marching band, but you can't use it for both, so you have to choose. Use it for your fine art, or you can use it for PE, but not both. Symphonic band, yearbook, basic design, drawing and painting, 3D art, and art history have all been approved in the course guide in the past. So that just gives our students really, and they're not always offered all those classes every term or even every year, but it gives them a little bit more understanding. And then the CTE side, we offer sports medicine 1, 2, sometimes 3. We have digital communications 1 and 2. And then any course offered through EVIT, we already have an IGA with them. You guys always have approved for decades that classes that kids take at EVIT count for that CT graduation credit. So I didn't list all those because it's pretty obvious if EVIT offers it and the credit came from them, it would satisfy our graduation requirement. And then we have the dual enrollment courses. And when I say this dual enrollment, this is dual enrollment between the first set of these are us and EVIT. All right, and so I gave you the Arizona Board of Regents as backup so you could see where I've got this information from. I took it straight from the ABOR site. And so if you go onto the Board of Regents and you type for district EVIT, these will pop up. And so, for example, criminal justice for us can count as a social science or U.S. history. Introduction to physical therapy can count as a CT credit or a lab science. And my daughter actually went through this earlier this year. She took the introduction to nursing assistant, and there was confusion of whether that was a lab science or not. And it clearly is on the Board of Regents site. And I had documentation from NAU that they also, the state universities count that as a lab science. And then on the right, you can see our approved code, what it can count for. So it can count for either CTE, advanced science, or biology. And this just gives the kids a little bit more understanding of how they can utilize their credits. Like aviation, spectrum, automotive technologies can count as the 4th year of math. You know, you still got to get to Algebra 2, but it can count towards that if you want to. And then I have all the ASU classes at the bottom. I'm not going to relist those because they're in our instructional time model that you approve every year, and they're nicely listed. So what Ms. Pinto's asked me to do is to take this document after I fix the error and add all the ASU courses to it as well. And then we're going to hand this out to our students every year as just a guide for them to be able to know that if the staff changes over, the board has approved all this. And you're just kind of redefining that with this document. So I'll take any questions.
Yeah, on the first one you have that it's half a credit, on the others we don't have if it's a full credit or half a credit. I wonder if we should.
Yeah, I can add that. Yeah, because typically PE is connected with health class, so there's a half a health and a half a PE. So this is really to get that 0.5 of PE credit, and I will go back and I'll add next to fine arts CT the credit requirement for you.
And on the, like aviation, spectrum,
Right.
and automotive, instead of 4 years of math, should I say fourth year of math?
That's how it's listed on the ABOR site, so we can, the principal obviously knows what that means. When we give this out to the kids, I want to use the same language so it doesn't get lost in translation, but we could certainly let them understand that it counts as one of those four. Now, it doesn't have to, right, but it's an option for them.
Okay.
Because it's still a CT course.
Other questions? Kim?
I don't have a question, but I do have a statement. I do like the idea of handing it out to the students every year. I think it empowers the students and parents
Sure.
to take control more of what's happening in their school life throughout high school. And I also agree, because I've had to go through it with my older son, that even in college, the counselors turn over and you can get different information from different counselors. So I think this is nice. It puts some information into their hands.
We're giving them an example of get it in writing.
That's right.
Here it is in writing for you. No, so anyway, that was the point of this, and we're going into registration season soon, and that's why I'm bringing it to you, and I'd like to be able to get this out to the students so they have it.
And let me get it straight, in the new website and everything we're gonna have, this will be in there so the students can actually start plugging in every year what they register for and see what's coming next too, right?
Yeah, it'll be in the parent handbook, it'll be in the high school, course guide. So it'll be in all those documents for them to find, but the goal is this is handed out every registration season, so they have it to understand how this all works.
All right, I'll move that we approve the high school credit guide with the removal of the word with, reference to marching band in those two sections. Do I have a second?
And also adding Lillian's credit.
Adding the
Yes.
credit
Requirement.
reference. Okay.
I second it.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved. Okay, next up is the job description and posting of the superintendent's position, starting on page 42. Roll down to there. Okay, any comments about this? Any changes needed, or does it look okay as is? I didn't find anything.
I didn't
odd
find
here.
anything either.
Anyone else?
I guess I just have a question. If this was the one that was used, for example, when you were hired, has it been the same job description?
Yeah, I believe so. I went through it. I made 2 additions to it based off feedback from you as a board. The first one was a statement of understanding that you are not a superintendent of a large district and you're going to have a lot of people to do everything for you. That's quite the opposite. And so you're going to have tasks. I put in there tasks that a principal or assistant superintendent or director might handle, so they don't come in feeling like, they got all this help when they don't. You have to do a lot in this, being a small school superintendent. And the second thing is I put the financial one in there, and I can't remember exactly what I wrote, but something along the lines of, I don't know if you want to read it aloud.
Strong financial management skills.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, so just, because I know you're looking for, everyone is, right?
Mhm.
It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are the two based on feedback from speaking with you guys.
Okay. Other comments, questions?
I had a list of details, but they all fit into one of these as a subset, so they're fine.
I feel the same way.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the job description and posting of the superintendent's position. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
When will
Okay.
it be posted? Tomorrow, okay. And do we have a time frame of when applications need to be in?
That's up to you guys. I think
So we should decide that as well. What's a reasonable, I mean, we don't want it to go too long because there's kind of a time crunch. Is
Because we do have to make a decision.
2 weeks, is that long enough or is that too short?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. We have to make a decision by April, correct? Because that was something we had
you have
done.
as much time as you need, technically, but yeah, I think most districts would do it in 2-week period, and you can always repost if you don't feel you have the candidates that you want, so.
So to receive, have it open until March 1st? Is that about, it's about 2 weeks?
Is that 2 weeks?
A little less than 2 weeks, but
Yeah, 2 weeks is March 5th.
March 5th? Everybody good with March 5th?
I'm good with my March 5th,
Yes.
and then we'll repost if we need to.
Right.
Okay. So I'll make the motion that it to be posted and with a date of reply by March 5th. Do I have a second for that?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Good. Okay, next up is the Superintendent Advisory Committee members, and we all received a list of numerous names on there. We had initially, I guess last meeting, we approved having 3 subcommittees, one for staff, one for students, and then a third one for parents and parents/community. Given the number of names, I think it would be wise to make 4 subcommittees, that is, one for staff, one for students, one for parents, and then a 4th one for community members. Are we good with that?
Absolutely.
If so, I'll state that as a motion that we change our previous 3 subcommittees to 4 subcommittees named as such.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And then there's lots of names here. We had talked about 7 members per subcommittee. Students have 8, so that's pretty close, but the others have way more than 7. So suggestions on how we whittle down those numbers. I mean, presumably for staff, we could ask the principals to get it down to 7. Okay. And then for students, same thing for students, you got 8, so just whether it's random draw or...
Looks like we have an extra middle school student.
That's
so
what I'm
maybe-
thinking too.
Yeah, there's 4 in the middle school, 3 in the high school, so maybe,
We also have a student on the community side too that needs to be shifted over.
oh, we do?
And
Oh.
which one is
Natalie
that?
Owers.
Natalie.
Okay, and is Natalie high school?
High school,
High
yeah.
school.
Yeah, because I think we're saying 1 from the middle, 1 from the elementary, 3 from the middle school, and 3 from the high school? Okay, so if we could have the presidents whittle it down to 7, we could potentially approve that at our next meeting. And then for parents and community members, I know some of us made, nominations there, so maybe we need to reconsider and trim to try to come up with 7, and then hopefully at our next meeting, we can decide on those 7. I'm not sure it's appropriate to
And there
critique
are,
them in public forum, but...
right, and there are a couple that are also parents, so maybe shift them over to the parent
Well, if they're parents, they should be on the parents thing, yeah.
Right,
would
because
think.
they're both nominated by us, but they're also parents, so maybe we can just put them in there.
And those are, I presume parents means current parents?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
they're former parents, they would be on the community
Right.
potential nominee.
So
Okay.
that looks like it's Robin, Bratcher, and Jenny.
Yes, and they're both
Yeah.
on there as parents, so
So they,
Yeah.
and I see them listed in the parents area. so-
they are listed there, so we
Leave
can
them.
cross them off the community, so that's two
Yeah.
plus there.
And for Nicorette, it's Jenny or Kim, and I think if Jenny is one of the parents, then I wouldn't have two of the same
No, we don't
family.
have to
and-
have-
Yeah, one or the other.
Husband and wife.
Right, that would, I don't think that would be appropriate.
No.
Okay, so basically, the parents and community were nominated by us, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if between now and the next meeting, if we could all look at who we nominated and let Krista know that we're trimming it down to fewer, and hopefully come up with 7.
And get the, I guess, principals to look at the,
Principals will look at
Staff.
students and staff to kind of come up with 7 on each subcommittee.
So for staff, do you want the principals to each choose 2, except for the preschool have 1, and that will give you to your 7?
That sounds
that
reasonable.
does sound good.
1 preschool, 2 elementary, 2 middle, 2 high school. Yeah, that's 7.
That would work.
Okay? That's your homework.
Now, with staff, we do have the additional category of district office.
Yes, so each,
Well, it would,
Yeah, and I think,
including principals, you mean?
including principals,
Mm.
or the principals extra, I would think.
Well, if we're keeping it to 7, because again, if the committee gets too big, as we spoke last week, if it gets too big, it kind of becomes unwieldy to find a meeting time
I
and
know,
all
but
that
since
stuff.
we'll be on the committees as well, I would tend to think that maybe the principal should be outside the number of
What
7.
you could do, and a lot of districts will do this, is, sorry, have 3 principals and maybe a district office be the leader of each of those 4 groups.
Okay, yeah, the chairman of the group.
Right.
That was the other question I was coming
Yeah.
up with, who's going to chair the committee so that they actually do stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure they follow the rules, directions, and keep it in order, moving smoothly, and then they can participate, but they're not taking up a seat of someone of the 7 that you want
Right.
to.
Okay, so 1 principal would chair the staff
Yes.
committee, 1 would chair the student committee,
Correct.
1 would chair the parents committee, and then someone else would do the
district
community.
A
office,
district office.
District office person,
HR
or,
something.
Alicia,
yeah, okay. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay, so do I need to state that as a motion?
Where do I fall into that?
Where do you fall into it?
Yeah,
The
if
district,
we have just 1 district office running a committee, and, well, actually, we only have 2 principals, so, I just want to make sure that
you can,
I'm included in this.
I think you would, you could help run one of the, I'm open to her
I-
running
I
one
am
of the
too.
groups.
yes.
Yeah,
One of the,
the community
But will we
one?
have too many?
no, because it would be you,
Well, there's
Barry,
3
Kim.
principals and there's 4 subcommittees.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
So you would have,
So you guys aren't going to oversee one of the committees? Okay.
Well,
I
we're gonna
And
be
let-
there.
no,
they
I
would be
mean-
there anyway.
Okay.
I would
Yeah,
think.
we'd probably sit in, but,
Mhm.
yeah, it would be like an ex officio member,
Yeah.
Okay.
whatever the term is. Okay. So do I need to make that as a motion? Or does someone need to make that as a motion, kind of formally?
We'll let you-
We already did the 4 committees.
If you're on the agenda item of these committees, then
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Okay, so in addition, so we've already passed the one on making 4 subcommittees. So in addition, and the previous motion included the principals would pare down? Did we, no, that wasn't in the motion.
I don't even know that you need to make a motion on that. I think you table the rest, because it's choosing the committees basically is what the agenda item is. And so we've made the motion for them to pare it down.
Okay, we did,
And
okay.
I think then you table the rest of it, and then at the next.
We
meeting,
approved the
actually-
members and the chairs
Okay.
of those committees. Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that covers that item.
So you'll motion to table it, is what you'll do.
I'll make a motion to table what we just talked about until a future meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good. All right. On to information and discussion items. Starting with the school calendars for the next 3 academic years.
Dr. Capsino, before yes, I'm going to have Krista share that out. She kind of led that initiative, and I can tell you that staff had input on different parts of the process, and she can give you more information.
So, basically at our last, in-person calendar meeting for last year when we created this year's calendar, it was requested that we retain that model. We had met multiple times, kind of got a model in place, and everybody was very happy with that. So what I did was I took that model, applied it to the next 3 years, and as I stated in your cover page, the only thing that really needed additional input was on the winter break and how that fell for 28-29, at which point I did a survey to all of our staff for input, and it was neck and neck on 2 options, but what you see there is what the staff chose by the majority. So then I presented all 3 calendars to the calendar committee and got an overwhelmingly majority vote for all 3 calendars.
And I did check with Jewish holidays, and we're okay.
Oh, good.
And if we find something amiss, we could always change it as we have in the
We
past.
can, yeah, we can, absolutely.
And we still have the shorter day right before the holidays and everything,
We do, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
something we had done a
Yes.
few years ago.
Yes.
I think, I don't think I see when Good Friday is labeled on any of them, or,
So it's not labeled as Good Friday, it's labeled as a district recess, I believe is what we have called it.
okay, I didn't see. Also, there's nothing on there when the teachers return and when the.
I took that off the calendar last year. So that will be on staff calendars, work calendars, which, once these are approved, Alicia will then be able to go in and do work calendars.
And especially do like new teachers.
Yes,
coming in.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I have something I just want to bring forward. It might be too late.
Sure.
I did have a concerned parent reach out to me stating that there are other parents that also agree and are wondering about this. The question has come up as to why we start the school year, right at the beginning of August, when August is a very hot month. We could maybe start the school year later, let the kids out a little later in, late May or halfway through June. And also the question was, why are there so many half-days? Can we reduce the half-days to accommodate and make some kind of push so that it's a little more accommodating to parents, summer and all of that? So I didn't know if there's any background as to.
I can speak to that. So I want to say Dana Sarr was a big proponent of an alternative schedule to what we have now. And we brought that, I believe, at his request, my first few years here. And there was really no momentum at all on starting. And I think he was lining it up more to like the EBIT schedule. And that makes sense. I mean, we have a lot of kids by percentage. I know we're a small district, but percentage of eligible students going to EBIT is, in my opinion, high, and we've raised that, and we're proud of that. But I think we already hear, we hear a little bit of pushback about when we start in late July, right? That August is what people are used to. But we added those 3 work days, on the breaks. And so what happens is we'll hear small rumblings at the beginning of the year of it's too soon. But they're talking like 3 days, not weeks or a month or anything like that. But then when those extra days off come during the year, they love them. And they're like, I'm so glad we did this. So and we did put it to a vote, I think 2 years ago on the calendar committee, and it passed overwhelmingly. They wanted to keep those days, even though they start earlier. I do agree with the parents you're speaking of, you know, in the sense of it's hot in Arizona. But I think it's, you know, I think Ms. Reichler can speak to this, it's hot in September too, because we can't go outside and use the playgrounds a lot of days because it's too hot with the plastic, even with the shade. So then you run into, well, this is how, you know, Scottsdale does it or Mesa does it, and then, you know, if you're so far off of what your, I think, neighboring districts do, it could be a negative.
Gotcha.
So I agree. You know, my birthday is August 16th. So growing
Always
up,
a pool party.
but growing up in Colorado, it was always, you know, we were probably like the first day of school, or it wasn't even in school yet. It was a summer birthday.
Right.
And now it's, you know, we're in school for almost 3 weeks by the time that comes around now. So it has shifted, and, you know, the other thing is we have a lot of parents who want to be out by Memorial Day because they travel and they have cabins and they want to get up there. So, I mean, we could certainly, if you want us to look into it further, we could do that. But I think that's kind of a background of what I've seen over the last, 8 years that I've been in the administration here.
I think the one thing that struck me the most out of what you said is not being too far out of alignment from what our surrounding school districts do.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that could be a driving factor, and I would not want to affect our enrollment by doing that. So if we're in line.
I mean, some years we have the same break, other years, like this year we don't with Scottsdale, other years we've had it. So I don't think, and I've always said this, I don't believe it's essential for the Falmouth Hills District to do what Scottsdale does. Like, we're doing our thing, we're proud of what we do, and we work, hard, and we have great schools, we're gonna do our thing. If it lines up with them, then that's great, but I think within a week is one thing, but if it's, a month off, it could cause some problems.
Yeah.
And I would say that in doing the research and looking at surrounding districts, the one that I really focus on is EVIT, just because of our students that go there and they need to have breaks that align. I would say with Mesa and Scottsdale, we are within a week of start and end, if not the same week and just a few days.
Perfect. Yeah, and I do also really like aligning with EVIT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Years ago back in Illinois, we started after Labor Day and went to the end of June, though.
Yes.
And I think they still do, but that was, yeah.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
But-
But even in Ohio, the last few years I was there, we moved it to start in August too, which was surprising. And finish by Memorial Weekend, so it did get shifted.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, next up is the middle school schedule.
So, Dr. Kelsey, members, board guests, Dr. Wheeljar is going to come to the podium, talk a little bit about what she's been working on. The principals got me a rough draft of their schedules for next year by the end of January, and now they're starting to really fine tune them. But one of the things we want to present is the potential of moving the middle school bell schedule to align with the high school schedule as we continue to shrink. We have more of a dependence on sharing teachers, and currently it is a little challenging. Only certain periods of the day line up, others do not at all, and it just limits us a little bit with what we can do. The second thing, before I turn it over to Dr. Wheeljar, is I believe what she's presenting tonight, what we're planning to do is putting a little bit more emphasis on the core academic areas. So really reading, our ELA, our math, science, and social studies, by extending the time a little bit in those, and then also accelerating in math. And we have a district goal to hopefully by next year start this, is the plan, is to have all students through Algebra 1 in 8th grade. That's our goal. And this schedule, I believe, allows for that to happen with a trimester model. It offers the ability to accelerate, at the same time help kids who struggle and are not maybe ready for that next level, but can still continue moving forward with their cohort, but get additional support. So, Dr. McKay.
Yes, hi. Good evening. So we've been through a student advisory, we've had parent meetings, we've had many discussions, I've had discussions during my coffees, and with that, everyone's on board with us being on the same schedule with the high school, so I'm very excited with that because it's made it very hard for myself and Ms. Pinto with making it align with our shared teachers. And so with being on the same schedule, I think it's going to allow for the additional time to hopefully, extend that rigor a little bit more in our 4 core subjects. Then our students, when they go to take an elective, each trimester that could change, or they could take the same. We're hoping that they choose something different. It's just being on the same campus, it's going to allow for us to continue to hopefully allow our students starting probably as early as 7th grade to be almost taking, that higher level math, as well as our 8th graders even excelling, just like Dr. J said, into the Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and maybe geometry, who knows? It just depends. But I think, too, when you look at the options that we have and the many pathways we have, it's good that we start even at the elementary school, middle, so that they're ready when they get to high school. But we do have many ways that we're going to look at, hopefully, holding the accountability and the acceleration of our students to excel, not only in our I-21, which doesn't include math, but we're hoping to include math in another way.
And just a couple of things to add. One is when you look at the the electives situation, it is going to reduce the number per day, okay? But because of a trimester, they're going to get 3 different ones. And we're also going to have some micro electives that are 6-week electives that focus on, a quick introduction to this discipline, this course, and you might get 2 different electives in 1 term, and then a full elective and a full elective. You still get your 4 you would get in a semester. So, and the other thing that it opens up the door for, and I did this as principal at Fountain Hills High School years ago, and I called it advanced middle school. So what I did is I would have a bus pick up our top achieving middle school students that wanted, for example, there was no honors science back then at the middle school. So you had 8th graders in regular science, and they weren't being challenged the way they wanted to. So what we did at the time is we would pick them up and bring them over for first period, or have them take the bus to the high school first period, we'd drive them back over, and they would take biology with us, they would take Spanish, they would take world history, and they would get some high school credits out of the way and stay with us. Usually it was 2 periods, first and second hour, and then we'd bus them back, and they still got a full day with their peers, lunch, social time, other courses and electives, but they were able to challenge themselves and get ahead. And now with over 30-some% of our kids taking Arizona State classes in high school, it allows them to be ahead when they walk in as freshmen, and we don't have to bus them anymore because they're on the same campus. They just have to walk over and take those classes. So I think that's another benefit for the high-achieving families that are really looking for acceleration, the ones who might look at BASIS or some of the other schools that we compete with, that you could actually get farther at Fountain Hills High School than you can at those schools. And I've looked at it for 8 years, and I firmly believe that our kids at Fountain Hills High School are graduating with a better resume than the competition. They're graduating with a year of college done from Arizona State. They're graduating with, both of my children are going to graduate with EDIT certificates and a year of college done from Arizona State. They're graduating more credits. Our students graduate 27 credits where everyone else is 22 or 23. So this just aligns more with pushing the middle school even further down that academic pathway so they can maintain their A rating and prepare the kids for high school. So I think it's a good thing.
And we're also probably, most likely, going to have an advisory period, which would be about 25 minutes long, because we got to figure out a way to switch out middle and high school lunches. And so we may have an advisory period after lunch. But we can also look at, utilizing that as also another reteach option for our students who are struggling in certain classes. And, we can tailor it for our students however way we want. And that's the beauty of our being able to be small and have these options. So we have some ideas, and I think with Ms. Pinto and I think we can, two heads are better than one, can figure this out. Any other questions?
No, I do like this. I feel like it gives them more time. And if you're in the trimester, if somebody is struggling, they can go ahead and take the same course again right afterwards and not have to wait. And maybe still in their first year, get the whole credit.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was when I presented it at my coffee, and Ms. Aker was there, some parents were kind of like, huh. But again, with parent permission and understanding that we want accountability to move forward, and then also with advancement, there's always those conversations that we want to make sure, just like I have with attendance contracts or behavior contracts, there can be academic contracts, and we want all students to not just be easily being passed on when they're doing nothing.
I like the emphasis on math and having a path to allow kids to get further in math and accelerate in math. I do have one question, kind of a logistical question. So with the busing system right now, don't the middle schoolers ride the same bus as high schoolers?
Yes.
So if the schedules align, are we going to be able to, what are we doing, run in the buses earlier so that we can drop kids?
So what he's talking about, my first year, we used to have our 8th graders bused over here, because I was at, which is now the elementary school. But now that we're on the same campus, we don't have to bus our middle schoolers over. I just go Red Rover, send them on over. But if we're looking to advance the elementary students, like our 5th graders, to come on over and take 6th grade math, then yes, you would have to utilize the busing system.
But you're talking about the regular start times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't factor in. They ride the bus. What we did is there was a little bit of nervousness the first year we moved the middle school back.
Mm-hmm.
And there was really nobody left that remembered the old days of when we were all on the same campus. So what we did is we allowed the middle school kids to be dismissed a few minutes early so they could get on the bus first and get their seats, and then the high school kids come on second. We can still do that. I mean, it's a 2-minute shift. At the end of the day, as far as in the morning, they all show up together now anyway, so it'd be the same. But if that's a concern and we want to keep that staggered, get on the bus, that's easy. The middle school can just dismiss at 2:58, and the high school dismiss at 3, and it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Our high school kids are really nice. I just want to point that out.
I think they are too.
Since we
I could see
started,
that
we
being
thought we thought of all these other possibilities that potentially could have happened and never did. And so it's like high schoolers just go about their way, and middle schoolers blah about their day. And it's kind of like they just kind of look over and see us all being wild and crazy, and they're just kind of doing their thing. So we all just kind of cohabitate
And
together.
they're still pretty separated.
They're very separated.
And we'll still be conscious of that. There's certain areas of the campus where we have to work, but even like PE, we make them take a certain pathway to go around the high school and down, and we have security out there. So we'll continue to do those things, but I don't think it'll be an issue with us.
It'll be so much easier if they are taking the advanced math or science or anything else to be able to move them along. They're on the same campus. And I know about busing, we used to have to bus kids too, or have a 0 period and then different hours for the day. This is perfect in one campus.
Yeah, we're very excited to be on the same schedule.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, next item is the superintendent candidate screening rubric. And you have in front of you 2 pieces of paper, which I put together as a proposed, as it says, proposed rubric. And the other one, the superintendent best fit. So this would be intended for the subcommittees to use as a tool to evaluate. So obviously, one thing, since there's 4 subcommittees now, the top will be changed. So any thoughts about the content, wording? It's a little bit longer than probably a little too long, but then again, this covers pretty much everything. And the superintendent best fit document would be to kind of force a choice, again, amongst the subcommittees to indicate clearly their preference. So comments, input, suggestions? Or do you want time to look at this and we discuss and vote on it at the next meeting? That's the other option, as opposed to rushing it today. We wouldn't vote today anyway, yeah. It's discussion, so.
I will just share that I found in hiring principals and assistant principals, that the best fit really does work nicely. I think you'll see that. It's one more step you take, but when people have a choice, usually a clear favorite emerges. But that's just for your eyes, right? It's not something you can decide what you want to do with it, but it gives you that feedback, because ultimately you are picking the person. You're taking feedback from the 28 to 30 people, but you're ultimately making that decision. That just gives you a little bit more of a clear cut who the committees feel. And you might see one committee likes one, and one likes the other, and you can bring them back for a second interview. That gives you an option to do that too.
Yeah. So I think this covers all the stuff, and then the back kind of gives general positive, your concerns and overall impressions, so like freestyle.
And I do like the best fit. My husband had to choose at one point somebody to head a place, and he said if his question had been outside view, who would you choose from all these candidates? And thinking, you just never know. So it turned out everybody chose the same person, so it made it very easy. So the best fit might do the same thing.
And the other thing too is when you have an open discussion, that's why I gave you some written feedback options too, Dr. Bukowski. Because a lot of times when you're in an open discussion like that, 1 or 2 people may dominate that conversation, and some of the more quieter people will not really say anything. This gives them a chance to still have a voice in that process without maybe wanting to be loud in that environment.
I have a couple questions. So I understand our committee meetings are going to be open meetings, so other people can come that are not on the committee. I don't think, this wasn't included like in our packet for tonight, right? But it would be included, if we vote on it next time, it would be included in the packet as an action item. So I think it's important to make it public, either that or we read it off right here. But yeah, let's put it in.
Yeah, this is a
the
starting thing. We can make comments, and then you would vote at the next
Yeah.
meeting to approve or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
So if between now and, the next meeting, if you have suggestions, then let Krista know, and we can always tweak this, and we'll just make 4 subcommittees at the top, obviously. So, okay. Next up is the interview process timeline. So obviously, we don't want to go too many weeks into this. The idea would be, as we said, March 5th would be hopefully receipt of applicants, applications, and then suggestion is that we would then look at all those and try to maybe whittle down to a reasonable number, depending if there's a lot of applicants, and then those would be the ones that would go to the subcommittees, and then they would have a certain timeline. And I'm not sure we can determine what the time, the time frame is yet. But they would have time to meet and then give feedback back to us, and then we would make the final decision.
And seeing how we're saying for everybody to turn things in by March 5th, it's between our two meetings. I wonder if we need to put in just an executive session to go over.
You could,
Implications.
if you
Probably.
do the executive session, then you'll have to give the applicants an opportunity to have theirs
Right.
in open session, which our
Right.
attorney can help write for you. You'll probably need some special sessions though for all these interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To line up with your next meeting where you want to name somebody.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we plan on having a special session like the week between our two March meetings? Or we want to decide that later?
Just say that we're going to have it and leave something slightly open.
Well, I guess we can't
We'll
decide
see.
that at this point,
We can't
but,
decide until
I-
we know how many applicants.
Yeah.
I think if we were to do one, I would love to schedule it, as close to March 5th as possible,
yeah,
assuming we
Right.
get enough applications.
like
that
the
we
next
feel-
Wednesday?
That we feel it's worth it.
Yeah, whatever
Right.
that Wednesday is in
The
between.
Wednesday after.
Yeah,
So it'd be the
could be
Wednesday
March
in between.
11th, yeah, March 11th.
I
guess.
would prefer to do
Mhm.
it sooner, but
So,
I was
well,
gonna say that,
I
that
think-
is spring break week, so it depends on who you
Oh.
want involved in that.
Oh.
Would you guys be open to, Kim, you're saying sooner, like maybe March 6th, Friday, March 6th, or even the evening of March 5th? We close applications at 5 o'clock, we go into executive sessions.
March
So
5th is a
remind me-
Thursday?
remind me when spring break is. I should know this because.
You should.
Yeah.
I'm surprised your son hasn't reminded you of
Yeah, you don't need to be gone, do you?
So March 9th through March 13th.
Okay,
So the
yeah.
week in between our meetings.
So I strongly feel that in that case, that we need to do it the night of March 5th or on March 6th.
March 6th.
March 5th is what day of the week?
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. March 6th is a Friday.
I would say your best bet is probably Friday, only because you'll have a couple of candidates that are from out of state, they'll get the time zone possibly wrong. It may benefit them actually, because where they're coming from. And then you'll have some technical difficulty, and then they could have been a really good candidate, and just something happened. So if you make it by 5, and then if a candidate reaches out to Alicia and says, hey, I have this issue, you can decide if you want to take it or not.
And then we meet on the 6th.
So that would be presumably an executive session, but unless they requested an open meeting? Would they have to physically be here for the open meeting, or
I
no?
believe they have to physically be here. I will double check with the attorney, but.
Because that might limit things too, you
You
know?
would do that one usually first, it goes one person, and then go into executive session for the rest.
Okay.
And may I make a suggestion, if we do it on the 6th, if I have something later, can we do it like late afternoon, not in the evening? Is it possible for the 4 of us or not?
I have to check
It's a
I have my
Friday.
work schedule in front of me, so I usually work all day on Friday, so
Okay.
Like to what time?
usually till 5. Yeah, unless I could swing, I don't know offhand, I can check.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can decide later on.
Are you flexible?
Okay, other
Bernie
input
and
on
I are
that?
flexible on Friday.
Pardon me?
We're flexible.
You're flexible?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll try to be as flexible as possible. But my paying job does. Okay, moving on to budget reductions. Another favorite topic. Unfortunately, much common lately.
Can I back up while he's getting that set up? Do you have any interest in, like, picking, or do you not want to go this far, just let me know? Choosing, like, the week of March 16th for the subcommittees to meet? Like, or do you want to, like, get to this point and then make that decision? I just thought it might be nice to, like, notify them that this
That's
is the
fine.
week that we're going to be meeting, or, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, it's probably nice to give them advance
Yes.
warning,
Okay.
once we know who's on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they want tons of meetings or anything, so,
Yeah.
yeah, give them an idea.
Yeah, because the intention is for the subcommittees to meet once, right?
I would think.
Yeah, and then give us their information, okay?
All right. Dr. Cassie, members of the board and guests. I'm here tonight to present on budget reductions for next year, kind of walk you through what we're proposing so that you can vote hopefully at the next meeting, and we can have that ready to go as we prepare contracts and finish out the rest of the school year. So the first thing we have to do is create a prediction based off of student count. And as you all know, the student count has accelerated a little bit in the decline with the last couple of years with less small children in our community. So we try to look at finding, really a worst case scenario. We typically do get some new students in the summer, and we typically will lose some that move out of the community or move out of our schools. Typically, it's been a positive of more kids in than out in the summer, not by a huge amount. And then we have to look at our senior class and our kindergarten coming in, and that's the scary part. Is we have 115 seniors, and this year we had 35 kindergartners. So you have to make up that with just those reductions. We also have, over the last few years, we've had to really reduce our budget significantly. As the first couple of years that I was here, there was directives from the board to, we're not going to touch certified or, teacher positions and things of that nature. So we've had to, the last couple of years, do a few more reductions than you typically would see. This is our BSA 55 report from this year, and I'm just going to point out a couple things for you to take a look at. So and I circled them all to show you where I'm speaking to. That is our total of weighted ADM. So that is taking our actual student count, and then you have different support level weights that you can see up in that top section, where K-8 and 9-12 have different weighted levels. So when you take the total number of students, remember kindergarten only counts as half, because in Arizona it's only half-time kindergarten. So you look at, we had 1218, and then you take all the students in the school that qualify and what's called Group B weights, and these are mostly here, you can see a lot of them are for special services, special ed services, K-3 reading, things of that nature. So when you take that number, that's 190, and you add those two together, you get 1409. That was our weighted count for this fiscal year, okay? And what you do in Arizona then is you take that 1409, and we get 5,113 as the base level amount per kid. So you times that out, and you get 7,205,607 is the base level of support there, okay? Then we get some additional money for the audit services, so we get that up front, and then to do our audit with Heinfield and Meach, and that gets you to 72,52,957. All right, then you take that number and you add our transportation revenue control limit, or the TRCL, which is 901,150, and that number has been the same for many, many years, and it will be the same next year. So that gets you to 8,154,108. That is what called your RCL, your revenue control limit. So then what we do is we take that revenue control limit, and that was last year. So now I'm showing you what I'm predicting for this year. So we take that, I'm going to reduce it by about 100 kids weighted from last year to next year. So when you do that and you add in, there's a small inflation number that the county, Annette, had shared with me, what prediction of what that would be. So a lot of this is prediction. And you times that out, you get 7,762,651. And then you add into that our override, maintenance and override, which is in its final year. I'm predicting it at this number, I will get it double and triple checked before we do a budget. Remember, budget's not due until the end of the year, but contracts go out in March, so we have to be, way ahead on this. But based off the spreadsheet I have on how to calculate your override, that's the number it came out to with a weighted ADM of 1306, so I went 103 less. And you take those two numbers, I'm not proposing any carry forward this year because I don't think it's good practice because then the following year, you got to make up for the carry forward number and whatever reductions you have, and it's kind of a double hit. So I'm trying to leave you all in a situation where there's no carry forward to deal with, so that a year from now, if the student count goes down again by, say, 50, 60 kids, you're talking about a reduction that's not too difficult to get through, okay? And this is state aid supplement. I don't know if we'll get that again, so I can't speak to that at this time. It's an extra 72, so what I'm doing is calculating it without that, and if we get it, it'll just be extra money that can go to carry forward for the following year. And that puts a projected budget of $8,909,877. Okay, so that's where we got to get to. I think to get us at a point where we get through our budget at the end of the year, we hopefully have some carry forward money that we could put into savings. But I think you can live in that number and know that there's a good chance that you're not going to have to go into savings at all to make it through the year. Okay. All right, so in order to get to that number, because we did use some carry forward money the previous year to be able to right-size the district over the last 2 years. So our reduction started 2 years ago. The first year I was here, the budget was already done when I started. The second year I was here, there was no interest at that time from the board to do reductions, so we kept everything the same for another year. We also went all in on the consolidation that year. And we kind of said, if we're going to make it, we're going to go for it. And we did. And hindsight looking back on that is we just didn't know people weren't having kids at the time. We've seen a huge decrease in the number of young families in our community. So did it work? I think in a lot of ways, yes. In other ways, no. But we couldn't predict that. So we did some staff input as part of a budget committee. And I'm going to share with you how they responded. We had about 20-some people on that committee. And I support reducing teachers at the elementary school, creating larger class size to help balance budget. 79% agree with that statement. I support reducing a special area course at McDowell Mountain to help balance budget. Almost 74% agreed with that. I support reducing a security at the high school, middle school from 2 to 1. We currently only have one now. They are hard to find at what we pay, and it's hard to keep people in those jobs. We had one that lasted a couple months and took another job. So that is a small number. So if we decide, like, hey, we want to keep trying to have 2, that's not going to break your budget here. I can tell you that. Like we can make that work. But I just thought I would, look at everything. I support reducing in-class support for online and FHU courses. 95% agree with that, because currently we make all the kids taking ASU classes take them with us and ASU at the same time. And it's a great model, and if we had the funding, I think it would be smart to keep doing it that way, but that's a big number. When you think about the tuition that we cover and then the position, it starts to become one of those things that's nice, but is it essential and you got to have it? No. The vast majority of the kids taking the ASU classes, I believe, and Ms. Pinto believes, would do very well if they didn't have the class during the school day and did it on their own with support from teachers during reteach, after school, advisory, things like that. I support reducing administration at the school sites. It was a 50-50 on that one. And some were undecided. We tried that 2 years ago. I brought a proposal to reduce a principal. It was heavily unpopular, to say the least. The board, the parents, the students, and the staff all did not want to reduce a principal. So if we did go that route, I think it would be a very unpopular choice. So here's what I'm proposing for staff reductions, to put us in a position to also possibly weather the storm that we have coming if our override fails next year. If we haven't even decided to go for it yet. But if we do go for it, it doesn't pass, we're gonna lose $660,000 the first year and $440,000 the second year and $1 million in funding over the next 2 years. So we have to really start positioning ourselves in case that does happen, so we don't have this huge fiscal cliff that we're gonna have to deal with. We're gonna have it regardless, but it could be a lot worse if we don't make some reductions now. So the proposal would be 1 teacher at the preschool. We currently only predict we'll need 2. To have 3, we really don't have the student count for. 4 total teachers at McDowell, which could include a special, but we have different grade levels right now that just do not support the number of teachers we have. And I think the staff there, and I know Ms. Reichler understands, you just can't have 3 first grade teachers with 45 kids. Like, you just can't have that. So we hope to get more from Fort McDowell this year. We just didn't get those first graders like we've gotten in the past. They also have seen a decline in birth rates. And so we have more staffing than we need, and that's 1 grade level. But we have a retirement in that grade level too, so there's really no impact to staff by reducing that. 1 teacher at the high school, 2 teachers on assignment that we have doing different things throughout. 1's a part-time, 1 is full-time. The security guard we talked about, and then 2 instructional aides. We have a lot of instructional aides in the district, which is great, but you have to sometimes make some tough decisions. So I had Christy run that number with potential, personnel, and it came out to about 632, 210. Okay? The other side of this is to propose other reductions out of our M&O budget that are not necessarily staff. And this again is to try to get us in a position, if we have to cut $600,000 next year, we're in a much better position to do that when, if that override does not happen. Technology services, this is the Fruth Group. We pay a lot for that, for third party. I was fortunate enough to find NAU, who does a similar service, and I believe we're going to move forward with that. That's going to save us about $125,000 going through the Education Technology Consortium. Currently, we have an employee on contract that does our state reporting, because we had an employee resign early in the year to take a nonprofit job, and we have a representative from the Vail School District helping us with that. Closing Little Falcons Preschool, we're going to talk about a potential render here in a minute, but that could be as high as $120,000 in savings by closing that school. Move 2 positions that are currently in M&O to other fund sources we have available. So keeping those, like for example, 5th grade, I can't reduce 5th grade. They have 75 kids coming in, we can't go to 2 sections with 75 kids, so we have to have 3. But we could take that, one of the 3 teachers, and pay them out of a different funding source and get it out of M&O to help reduce. Something that's sustainable, something that we get money for every year, we can do that. And then savings from staff who resigned this year. We had several people move. You approved several of those liquidated damages earlier in the year, so we had people move that resigned throughout the year, and we wouldn't be paying them what we paid them this year. So we're not taking their whole salary because we never paid it. But what we paid them this year, we won't be paying them next year. So Christy added that up. That came to about $90,000 in people that are no longer here. We can move our athletic trainer to another fund. We got approval from our auditor to do that with no concerns. And we also checked with Annette at the county on that before she retired. And both said that would not be an issue. So that takes about 20. She's a part-time athletic trainer. It's about 21.5 that could come off of M&O. And then we have a lot of extra teaching periods, like most high schools do. You get the schedule done. You have kids that want this class. They have to change here. You need an extra section. Barry calls me and goes, hey, I got 40 in English 12. I can't have that. So we have to open up another section. That's inevitable. But we feel we can reduce that down to 4 next year. And with good scheduling by my trio of great principals, they won't need any extra teaching periods next year because how awesome their schedule is. But we have other funds if we have to open one up. We're not going to have kids be in the lecture hall with 50 kids in a chemistry class. We're not going to do that. And then we have grant funded positions. So this year we moved some positions that had traditionally been in M&O to grant funded positions that Krista oversees our grants. And we get approval before we do that. And then once we have approval, we move them. And so all that combined is another 700. So that puts us in a position to really lean out our budget, get it down to an area where we're not dependent on any carry forward money. We're also preparing for a possible storm ahead. And I went through this with a lot of different people, and I don't feel these reductions are going to cause a big stir in our community. I think the kids won't even notice. I mean, they'll notice, obviously, people aren't there. Some of these are great people are retiring and moving on, but they're not going to notice in their day-to-day life, I don't think that, hey, this program's gone or this class is gone. We're not talking about massive reductions like that, just right-sizing for years of being overstaffed. This district has had a history, and we were proud of it, for many years of really small class sizes. And we pride ourselves, it was a marketing tool. It was not uncommon in the elementary to have class sizes of 14, 15 kids in a class, and those are great if you have the funding to do it. But we can't live like that and have the student count drop and then a possible reduction in M&O override. So all that combined, I'm proposing $6 million all in salaries for M&O. We will have a couple of salaries that come out of different accounts. Like we'll have a couple that will come out of, like we have one typically that comes out of Medicaid. We have one or two that we might use classroom site fund to reduce class size, like to make it more bearable, and you can do that. But these are just a handful. Most of this is all in there. And then it costs around $2.8 to $3 million to keep the district up and running. I'm hoping that, and we've been able to, I mean, we're tight every year at that $3 million number, but we've also done so much work to these air conditioners over the last 4 years. I got to catch a break at some point. That all the work we did, you're bound to have a good year. So that's what I'm hoping for. But again, even with all the repairs we've done, all the issues that pop up, $3 million's been a pretty good number for us, and we're right there at about 2.9. And the final budget might be $9 million after we look at everything. And if we want to cut further, another way we could do things is we've been really banking our preschool tuition money the last few years, so we could leave that in the bank as part of our reserve money, but next year use the tuition money to pay a couple of teacher positions to also free up some extra funding for if it's a tough year with air conditioners, or just have more carry forward to put in the bank the following year. Reduce that override hit a little bit more by maybe a couple $100,000. You might be able to. So when the 600 hits next year, it's only 4 that you're going to have to address. So questions?
Okay, the first one is, you mentioned about Fruth.
Yes.
How's it going to balance out with Fruth, Power School, and NAU? Are they going to do all the same services, and is the total amount going to be less than the 3 of those that we have now? Because I know 2 of them are going away.
Yeah, so great question, Bernie. We have, so when you look at, so the NAU's quoted us $75,000 to do the work that Fruth is doing now. So servers, backups, and cybersecurity, all those things compliant with the trust. And they're also doing for us the Synergy, which is about a $30,000 cost, right, Chris? 30, 35, I think it's 30. You guys approved that one a couple months back. But the cost of Synergy and the cost of Power School is going to be pretty much a wash. because we pay for Power School at a higher price point than we'll get with the ETC with Synergy. The ETC from NAU, it's Educational Technology Consortium, and so what they do, it's developed to help small districts, mainly up by them, to give small districts some help with some of these services. And so I think you're gonna get a wash, pretty close to a wash on Synergy and Power School, what we pay, and that comes out of capital too, I believe, versus M&O. Again, double check that. But then you have the person that was running all that who left earlier this year, so we got savings this year and every year moving forward by not having that person on payroll anymore. And between that person and Power School was about 100,000, and now it's going to be about 30,000 moving forward. As far as the compatibility, I think it's better than we've ever had it, because NAU they're experts in school infrastructure, and I know you have concerns about our district's infrastructure, as do I, because it's very antiquated, but they're used to seeing that. So when they open up a closet and they see what you see, they're like, I can work on that, because they do that all over the state. So I think that helps, and then being on Synergy, which is also through them, it's seamless there that they're going to be doing our backups and all those things with Synergy. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the second one is, we still have a lot of moving parts with demolition for Four Peaks, and then whatever the residual is in Little Falcons.
Yeah.
So can you touch on any of that to see what the prognosis might be for next year?
Yeah, so if our land sells, which based on some comments I saw on Facebook, I didn't see, I don't have any social media, but what people told me was it was pretty positive. So thank you, Dr. Rakowski, for setting that up.
Over 8,000 hits.
8,000?
Over, is like 8,200 as of yesterday in Friedel Fridays, yes.
All right, and he put on a great performance. He carried the show.
He did.
Dr. Rakowski did on that one. But if both those sell, you're in really good shape as far as capital, because we're going to start next year with probably about 1.3 to 1.4 million. And we typically get an allotment of about 600,000. So you're in good shape there. Then you got the 8.5 if both sell on top of that. So you're in good shape. But to people watching in the community, that can't be used for salaries and sustained salaries. This is different money. This is to fix roofs and air conditioners and infrastructure, tech refresh, which we have to do because of Windows 10 expiring. And everyone except me has a Windows 10 computer. I had to, be different with my Mac, but this one's good for right now. But we have to refresh all that, servers. You've seen the server rooms and some of the infrastructure technology. That money is all good for that. Once we get that in, then I say we move forward with the demolition of Four Peaks. You have approved the resolution. The school facility board is now in process of approving that resolution. It'll come back to you. And then I think if we get either one of those sell, we can go ahead and move forward with that right away. I believe it'll pay for itself in about 4 to 5 years, realistically, the demo versus what we pay to keep it open. As far as Little Falcons preschool goes, if the renter situation works out as we hope, and that's a next discussion item, we can maintain the building for the future, even though I don't see us needing it in the future. But it gives you a couple years to decide, see what happens with the override, see what happens with the land sale, and then at that point, you could look at, is it worth selling? It's not worth a ton of money. We've done about 1.4 million is all it's worth in comparison to some of these other properties. You still have El Lago, which is probably our best property. I kept that one kind of in the bank for the future, and you still have 15 acres at the McDowell Mountain site, which is on state trust land. So between keeping Four Peaks as a plot of land, just putting some rock in and making the neighbors happy there, which some have already reached out. They love that plan of rock. You keep that spot. You got McDowell Mountain, state trust land, and you have El Lago. You could build 3 new schools if this town flipped and became, a hot spot for families. So the future's still there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Okay, I just have a couple questions. So
Yeah.
it sounded like you think we can do a lot of these reductions in staff that you outlined there through retirement or people leaving for another job or that kind of thing. So it's not like we're cutting, I don't know how many positions were on there.
Yeah,
Like people, we're not.
Yeah, so I mean, so when we did our staff survey of, do you plan to return? The vast majority said yes, which is great. You
That's
want
great.
that, you want consistency, you want retention. Of the ones who said undecided or flat out are not coming back, we knew who they were, we know their story. Some are moving, some are having children, some are retiring. So I really do feel that at the elementary school, you may not have any RIFs. You may have one, but it could be zero. At the high school, if we do reduce one, it probably would be a RIF because we would be not having that position anymore. The 2 teachers on assignment would be RIF because we're not replacing them. One of them is part-time and does it as extra work, so I don't see an issue with that. The security guard position's open right now, so there's no one to cut. And we have at least one aide retiring, and we would just be reducing one. And what we saw the last time when we did this a year ago, we ended up, I believe, only riffing one person by the time contracts came out, and everybody who was originally on a potential RIF list all got offered a position. Some didn't take those, they didn't want to teach that grade level, and they went elsewhere. But we ended up actually only riffing one, I believe, certified teacher, and they ended up getting a position like a week later with us. So I would say it's very minimal. I don't see a lot of reductions. The only thing I would say that I want to be clear about is I do think this is going to be a really, really tough year for people to get jobs in public education. With all the school closures across the district, everyone's enrollment dropping, it flipped almost overnight from where we were getting 1 or 2 applications for an opening to now I think it's going to be pretty deep because of all those reductions. So it's an interesting shift, and I think some of our staff is looking at that, saying this is probably not the year to look for a new position.
I have another question. In terms of class size, I know the last year when we made budget cuts,
Right.
we looked at that. We looked at okay, here's how the class sizes are currently. This is how much we predict it's going to go up, and it looked reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Do we think that this is going to make another significant bump in increase on the class sizes, or do you think it's quite minimal?
Well, my definition of appropriate class size is different than some of our teachers' definition of that. And that's normal, right? I have to look at money and operations, and coming from larger school districts where their numbers are much higher, and it's just the norm. Fountain Hills is unique. For, like I said, for decades, it was our thing, really, really small class sizes, and we can't live like that any longer. So it is a shift. But I'll just give you an example. Preschool is going to be right where it's at. I don't see any massive class size there. The only grade level I look at, and Ms. Reichler can disagree with me if I'm wrong here, but the only one I think could be high is kindergarten, which I've already said I won't allow it to get to a point. Well, if we have to, because the numbers come in higher than expected, we'll rehire for that position or call someone back if we do end up having to RIF for that position. But I don't see that happening, and we have to hold strong on this, because if we get to like 22, all right, and this would happen, was it this year or last year? Was it this year? Last year. She was a brand new principal, and she's like, I need another kindergarten section. And I have the highest respect for her, and I said, fine, we'll do it. And she was so happy. And so, but we have to hold strong. We can't keep doing that over and over and over again. So kindergarten, I will open another section if it hits. I'm not gonna say publicly what that number is gonna be, but in line with our neighbors of
Okay.
Scottsdale and Mesa. Then, first grade will be fine, second grade will be fine, third grade will be a little, like it was, second grade this year was a little more than they were used to, but is it 26? Yeah, so 53 total, 26, 27, pretty normal. And then fourth grade will be about what it is this year, and fifth grade, I already said we're keeping 3. The high school, they already have pretty small class sizes. Generally, some sections are a little bigger than others because it's a specialty course, or all the seniors want early dismissals. They all take English first period, and there's 38 of them that want it. So, but no, I don't think the class size should be enough to where you're hearing about it.
Okay.
And if you are, I would direct them to look at our neighbors and see what they're doing.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, I do have one.
Yeah.
One,
Sorry.
okay.
I'm getting my second win right now. I'm feeling good.
You sound better,
Advil
yeah.
kicked in.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I know we mentioned the air conditioner maintenance and that we're hoping not to have that. But the other big one is roofs.
Yeah.
So do we predict that we are going to be getting money to help us with our roofs from that grant?
School facility
School
board.
facility.
Yeah,
board.
let me give you an update. So our worst situation is in the K building, and that was approved recently, and they're starting construction a week from now, a week or two, to fix that one. So that's at the high school, that one's done. The second one was, well, we had that pipe break a while back, and I had some concern with the way that was handled when I called over there and reported what happened. And we had a local politician call over there for us, thanks to Dr. Rakowski. And they decided to help us with that one a little bit more. So that's good. I also shared with them that the elementary has about $75,000 to $80,000 of a Band-Aid project that needs to happen there while we wait for our big weatherization and roof repair, which we're on the list, but that could be a couple years. So I highly encourage them to approve that, especially, I know they're out of money this year, so they're, at this point, the school facility board is only taking emergency, life-saving issues, so fire panels, things that are, so bad, it could be a catastrophe. So, but I said, you could certainly put us at the top of your list for next year when you get a refresh of money, because we've been waiting a while for that, and we have a lot of leaks over there, and we're realistic, we're not asking you to do $3 million. We're just asking for 75 to fix those leaks, okay?
75,000.
Yeah, it's about 75 to 90,000.
Yeah.
And we've had, Todd Harris has looked at this all over the place. We brought in fellow Rotarian Dick Bauer, who did this for a living. We've met many times on this, and we all agree that Band-Aid will hold probably 5 years for us and make those roofs in good shape, okay? So it's really in their court. But what you could do, if you wanted to, is when the land sale happens, you could just do it, right? Take the land sale money, or if you want to just do it over the summer with the capital we have, you could do it. Because remember, that land is on state trust land, so we're going to have to pay 47% of it anyway.
Right.
So, so you're going to be paying 35 to 45,000, whatever the total number comes in. It might be better just to do the whole thing and say, okay, we took this one off your plate, but we want that $3 million fix, we haven't forgot about that. Sooner, yeah. But I mean, those are decisions the facility committee that Bernie's running could make, and you have the funding to do it if you wanted to over the summer. And it does, according to the experts we talked to, there's only a couple rainstorms a year lately, not every year, that are really bad that cause like water to come in the building. So like what happened tonight, the little rain we got, we won't see that infiltrate the school. And we've done a really good job of maintenance up on the top, up on the roofs. Our guys are going up there frequently. They're cleaning out, the areas that need to be cleaned out, and they're doing that maintenance. Our buildings are in the best shape they've been in a long, long time. And a lot of credit is to Todd for the work he's done with all the volunteers. Okay?
All right.
All right.
Moving on to the proposal to rent Fayette property. Some good news on that. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, unless you want me to say, I mean, I kind of know.
So
But,
we
yeah.
we have a proposal from Behavior Alley, or Behaviorally. I don't know which way you pronounce it. I think it's Behaviorally. And the proposal is to rent the Little Falcons facility where the preschool is today and the gym, so the multi-purpose room and the hallway where the offices are, where currently Denise and her conference room, that self-contained hallway that's attached to the preschool. So it'd be about 9 classrooms and the multi-purpose space. And if it goes through, it would cover the cost that we spend on that building in a year. So it would be basically us getting all that money back that we're spending to keep that building open. It looks like they're offering a 2-year lease, which then gives, again, the board in the district 2 years to decide what we want to do with the building. We retain the building. We would be responsible for landscaping and any repairs like we would as a landlord, but they would take care of cleaning and general, maintenance, paint, things like that. I had someone mention to me at one of our meetings, I thought you didn't want to be a landlord. And I did say that. So if you go back in the archives. But that's when we had 10 different people renting 4 meetings. And we weren't getting enough money for what we were renting. And that was something I inherited. And when you have 10 renters, you get a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of things that go wrong. One that we can assign Todd to full-time, I think will be fine. So I think we'll be okay.
Okay. And it's an educational organization, so zoning is not an issue.
Zoning's not an issue.
Right.
They work with some of our students with special needs. They're experts in their field. I brought Leah. Leah, you want to take the podium? She came tonight to speak on this so you guys could hear about any kind of competition with the renter.
Good evening.
Hi.
So when Dr. J had asked me about Behavior Ally, I think it's
Oh,
called.
is it?
Renting the space, I was thinking about the relationship that we've had with them over the years that I've been at Fountain Hills. But renting space to Behavior Ally does not remove students from our district. And it does not compete with district programs because they're a medically based program, not school-based. So Behavior Ally is based on applied behavior analysis, and they also do some early intervention. But it's not an educational program, and it's not a school. So the ABA therapy is a healthcare service prescribed by their physicians and funded by insurance, Medicaid, and possibly, I think some families might have used ESA funds to go to Behavior Alley. But we would have to ask Behavior Alley that. So I just feel like we have some students now that use both services, come to our school, but also have ABA therapy there. And I just feel like renting the space to Behavior Alley simply allows our families to have access medically to the necessary therapies. It's a convenient location. And a partnership with them, addressing developmental and behavioral needs early is also benefits as students come through our school district. So I think, but just basically the two systems are different, serving medically based needs and educationally based needs, and they operate under different laws and different funding sources and different eligibility criteria.
But we are okay with zoning, right? I mean, the zoning of the property would allow this?
Yeah, I mean,
It is.
I'll double check with.
Because I thought it was educate, but if it's not really educational, then, yeah.
We'll double check. We check everything before we make a final decision. The attorney's got to look over the contract. Todd has been negotiating with her on certain things that he wants in there. But Krista and I will check with the town tomorrow.
It was, and I will do that, but just as a side note, she was brought to us.
Oh, by the
from
town.
the
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the town brought her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good,
That's a good sign.
okay,
That's a good sign.
good. All right.
Any other questions?
I have a couple questions, but they're more for
Yeah.
Kate. And I've already asked you these, but I just think it's nice to have it in, transparency to the public. So a couple questions that I had posed to you before was, are we leaving the playgrounds? Sounds like we are in
Yes.
this situation.
She wants both, and to move the playground over is gonna be, it's not cheap, to do that. And I believe we spent about $35,000 on that playground when we moved in there. So if you factor that in over 3 years, that's pretty much the only thing we did over there, other than some paint. So we put in very little money into that campus over the last 3 years, so I don't feel like it's a huge loss in the end. We would put a new playground over at McDowell. Denise has already started looking at those. She went all the way to the back of the catalog where the expensive ones are, so we're back in. But we gotta pick one out that meets the needs of the kids and at an affordable price. But even that one she picked out was, they're typically under, you can get for under 25,000, right? And then you gotta put the flooring in, so that's gonna be one of the biggest expenses moving preschool, that and the bathroom. But again, we've estimate that Todd has given Bernie and our committee we meet with is under 200 to move, and we will make that up in, obviously rent is pretty quick, so it'll go within 2 years. So, yes, so both playgrounds would stay, and because they need them for their services.
And then the other question that I know I posed to you before, but is we are storing quite a bit of items over in that school.
We're good at that.
So I just want reassurance that we're going to come up with a solution where it's like we're only renting this portion of the building, and this is closed off, and the other part is still for storage.
So we gotta get the fire chief over there to take a look at, the exits and make sure where we're blocking off is acceptable and okay, which they're great about doing that. They'll come out and work with us. And as far as, it's really just one door. I think it's actually it'd be probably 2 doors. One to the multipurpose room and one in kind of that mud room that you have on the back area there. And we'd have to close off. And then we would also maybe have to modify whether it's a temporary or permanent type of fitting for the hallways, just to keep the air from escaping down the hallways. That's something that has caused a little bit of the SRP bill to go up, so we may have to do that too, but we'll figure that out as we go. And then once that's kind of locked down, I don't see being an issue. As far as storage, that is, again, something Bernie is working on with our committee, is to get rid of some things that we need to get rid of. And we do have 2 containers in the back of that building that we own that are empty. So storage containers that we could, if we needed to move some stuff out. I don't think it'd be beneficial to move it out of there into the storage facilities, but we do have plenty of storage, so.
So we may be asking for volunteers to be
Right.
doing cleanup?
Board members, Rotary,
Yeah.
Kiwanis.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
There
we're
were
looking
some
at
people-
numerous options to start reducing the size and volume of storage.
Good idea.
And there were some people at the preschool breakfast today who volunteered their husbands to help also.
How convenient.
We also have a high school
That's
football
sexist.
team that needs community service, so we'll
Yes.
find this.
Okay. Good. Okay, future action includes student outcomes such as report cards and proficiency data, and then the M&O override to be coming. Dates of upcoming meetings, March 4th and March 18th at 6 PM here, unless we add extra meetings in that. And I will move that we adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
I don't have a second. I'm asking to
Oh,
make
okay.
sure that we can move the M&O override to the next meeting as an action item. We need to vote on that fairly soon with all the other deadlines and moving pieces.
When do we have to decide? Is that? we have-
Technically May.
Yeah.
We still have some
Are we
time.
going to move it as an action item, or are we going to move it to information first?
We had already discussed it,
yeah,
so
we
I
did
thought we
information.
can move it to
Okay.
action.
Okay, all right. Anything else? Okay, so I'll restate that motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.